These kids, or they used to read these Harry Potter books. Their mind is like Harry Potter. Then video games do the same thing to you. What's the ruling on dogs touching you? Does it break your wudu? Or do you have to pay zakat on sneakers, shoes, and watches that hold value? Unless it's gold, there's no zakat on it. But if their minds are going to develop that they actually believe magic is actually happening, and Islam says there's no magic, and they start believing in the magic more than Islam, then it can be problematic. First of all, the first thing that we have to keep in mind, this is the teachings of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The companion radiallahu anhu said, when the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was silent, he prayed his prayer silent, we prayed silent. When he sallallahu alaihi wasallam read out loud, we read out loud. So the first thing is, this is what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Now, through ahadith, through wisdom, we can try to understand the hikmah or the asrar, the in-depth meaning of why certain things happen. So firstly, when it comes to Zuhr and Asr, why are they silently? Allah knows best firstly why. Some ulama have said they have read silently because in the Meccan period, the Sahaba radiallahu anhu were scared. So if during the daytime they read Zuhr and Asr out loud, everyone's awake. Everyone will hear them, oh, they're praying. And they were scared of being persecuted. They were scared of being attacked. So Zuhr and Asr, they was read silently, so no one knows they're praying. Now when it comes to Maghrib, Isha and Salat al-Fajr, those are done in the early or the late parts of the night, so no one's awake. So okay, that you can read out a little bit loud. Everyone's in their own social gathering. Another reason why ulama say, obviously because now we don't suffer from persecution. However, what happened then, we still follow what the Prophet ﷺ did. Another reason they say is because during the day, your mind is preoccupied. Zuhr and Asr, you want to get back to work. Your mind is thinking about, okay, I got to get back to work. Your mind is preoccupied and you're distracted. You're thinking about things. So you can't really focus on your prayer. So Allah is saying, I want you to think about the recitation. So you're controlling your brain now. You're controlling your mind. There's so many distractions going on to it. Whereas in the evening, your day is over. You know it's nighttime, okay, now it's time to relax. So now you can read out loud. Another reason is that the ulama say during the daytime, everyone's wide awake. So if you recite Quran out loudly, during the daytime, you're showing off. Everyone is there, everyone is seeing. But at nighttime, it's a little bit more calm. Not many people are awake. Not many people even know what you're doing. The night is a little bit more calm. Your tahajjud prayers are read out loud. No one knows what you're doing. So during the daytime is more of a time to show off. So these are the hikmas, but the main reason is that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. That's it, that's the main answer. When it comes to the second and third rak'ah, again, why do we recite it silently? The main answer would be because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it. 2 rakats out loud, 2 rakats more silently. Because the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that every 2 rakats is a salah. When it comes to the sunnah prayers, they are in nafal, or we call them sunnah mu'akkada. And nafal prayers are sunnah ghayr mu'akkada. So every 2 rakats are a salah. So when you pray 4 rakats of sunnah, every 2 rakats is one salah. So I read Surah Fatiha, I read a surah. Now the next 2 rakats is as if they are another salah. Every salah is a shaf'ah. Shaf'ah 2 rakats. So it is as if you're praying 2 sunnahs, now you pray your next 2 sunnahs. So those are like brand new salah. So nafal prayers, every 2 rakats are on their own. So if you pray 8 rakat nafal, you're going to pray Surah Fatiha, surah in the second one. If you pray 8 rakat nafal, you can pray 8 rakat nafals, according to the Hanafis, at night time, and there's ikhtilaf in it. But if you pray 4 rakat nafal, just felt like praying 4 rakat nafal, it's for every 2, it's like our own salah. But because we're praying 4 sunnahs to somewhat match the fardh, we say after the 2 rakats and sunnahs, you still only do at-tahiyyat and dua. You don't do durud. You don't do salawat al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it somewhat matches fardh and it somewhat doesn't, because every nafal is 2 rakats. Fardh rakats are specific. You can only read 4, or only read 3, or only read 2 based off of those specific prayers. So based off of this reason, every nafal is 2 rakat. This is why we recite another surah after Surah al-Fatiha. Does a dog touching you break your wudu? No, it doesn't. The the things that break your wudu, we have the list. You bleed, you pass gas, you urine, you use the bathroom, you fall asleep, etc. Those are the things that break your wudu. But touching someone, an animal, doesn't break your wudu. However, if a dog licks you, licks your hand, now that hand is impure, you need to wash it. You need to wash your hand. If the dog licks your clothes, you need to purify and clean your clothes. If the dog touches you with his legs, arms, or body, then it doesn't. There's nothing to purify. You don't have to purify. The saliva of a dog is impure. The saliva of a dog is impure. If the saliva of the dog touches you, or the saliva of the dog fell in something and that saliva overpowered whatever liquid was in there, and you touch that liquid, then your hand, clothes become impure. But a dog touching you, your wudu doesn't break for sure, and you don't become impure either unless it's saliva. That's the ruling for dogs. However, when it comes to pigs or swine, they are najas al-ayn. So, if they have these footballs that are made from pig skin, and it's raining, or the grass is wet, and the football gets wet. Now if you touch the football touches your clothes, because pig or swine is najas al-ayn, your clothes are impure too. So dogs and pig, swine, they have different rulings. So if you touch a wet pig, then your hands are wet too. If you touch a wet dog, your hand is not impure. So when it comes to dogs, it's the saliva. When it comes to swine and pig, everything about it is impure. Everything about a pig, a minute amount of pork in it, and in food, it's haram. Because pigs are what we consider najas al-ayn. So if you have an expensive watch, or you have some expensive pair of shoes, you have to pay zakat on it. The ruling of zakat is that anything that increases your wealth. So gold and silver and currency, all of those things are a means of increasing your wealth, or what we call wealth that increases. So when it comes to watches and stuff, unless it's gold, there's no zakat on it. But if the watch is gold, then there's zakat on it, according to the Hanafis. The Shafis say if you have jewelry that's gold to wear, then there's no zakat on it. But according to the Hanafis, no, you have gold and silver, you have to give zakat on it. Because in the time of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, currency was gold and silver. And the currency of gold and silver was based off of weight. You take the gold and you weigh it. And that's how you paid for items. So it didn't matter if it was a gold coin or not, it's gold. It's pure, authentic gold. And that is how they bought items and purchased items. So if it's a gold watch, then yes. When it comes to everything else, it needs to be something that increases your wealth. What do I mean by that? That means if I bought a house with the intention of selling it, there's zakat on it. So if I bought the shoes with the intention of selling it, then there's zakat on it. If I bought the watch with the intention of selling it, then there's zakat on it. Because that's increasing my wealth, that's an investment. So if you buy a home with the intention of selling it, then your zakat is on the value of the home. If you bought a house with the intention of renting it, then the zakat is on the amount of rent you collect and not the value of the house. If you buy stocks with the intention of selling it, then your zakat is on the full value of the stocks. If you buy stocks with the intention of receiving dividends, then your zakat is based off of the dividends and not the value of the stocks. Somebody recently asked me a question that if you buy stocks, you didn't have intention to sell it, and then later on you had intention to sell it. Now their zakat will be based on of a long term, because now it's like you're a business partner. You're a business partner for that company. So the ulama give different numbers, but 40% of your value you should give zakat on that. 40% of the value of the stocks that you own, that now you are keeping long term, you're going to pay 40% of your 40% of the value that you have of stocks. You pay zakat on that, inshallah. So anything you buy with the intention of reselling, there's zakat on it. So if you just bought shoes to wear them, watches to wear them, there's no zakat on it. It won't be disbelief, but it's something not good to do, something reprehensible. You are presenting something that Islam does not accept, and maybe at the beginning it doesn't affect you, but as you continue watching and doing it, you might end up believing it too. You might end up believing that fiction. These kids, they used to read these Harry Potter books. Now their life is like Harry Potter. Their mind is like Harry Potter. Then video games do the same thing to you. So initially they're okay, but if they're playing day and night, their mind revolves out that video game. They talk like that video game, they walk like that video game, they dress like that video game, and then that becomes a problem. Because our role model and our clothing and everything should be in accordance to the teachings of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a very important question, and there is an ikhtilaf in this too. However, what's the reward of 6 days of Shawwal? That if you fast the month of Ramadan, 6 days of Shawwal, then you get the reward as if you fasted the entire year. How did that happen? We know for every amal and action we do, there's 10 good deeds. So you fast about 30 days in the month of Ramadan, you add 6 days of Shawwal, that becomes 36. 36 times 10, 360 days. And on the lunar calendar, there's about 360 days. I know in our Gregorian calendar, there's about 365 days, but in the lunar calendar, it's about 360 days. So that means you need to have fasted for 36 days in order to get the reward of this hadith. So the more relied upon opinion is that no, you have to have only the intention of Qadha, only the intention of Shawwal. So what you should do, and you'll get different answers, is make up your Qadha first and then do the 6 days of Shawwal. If it's extremely difficult, for whatever reason, you're not able to fast, then there is hope that you can still get the reward of the 6 days of Shawwal by doing your Qadha and Shawwal fast together. You are allowed to have dual intentions for different days too. In Muharram or Zul Hijjah, you can have the intention of fasting of your Qadha in Ramadan, while also you getting the reward of Zul Hijjah. For Shawwal, because specifically the narration of the hadith, whosoever man atba'a, whosoever follows the fasting of Ramadan with 6 days of Shawwal. Because of that connection, that means 36 days were fasted roughly, and based off of that, that's why we say that Shawwal and the make-up fast, you shouldn't have a dual intention for that. We won't say it's haram. It's not haram to see a magic show, but the same thing. Are they going to believe that it's actual magic? It's going to lead their mind to believe, oh wow, they're performing magic? Because there's no such thing as magic. The only ones who could perform miracles are the Prophets ﷺ. So you can take them here and there, occasional recreational enjoyment, but if their minds are going to develop that they actually believe magic is actually happening and Islam says there's no magic, and they start believing in the magic more than Islam, then it can be problematic. So sometimes occasionally doing things, but it's better to close the door to prevent something else happening.